Morning, boss. This week's income from the sponsors has cleared, and we're making good profit against our running costs.
Good morning, bosses, and welcome to another video. We are back for episode number 2 of Season 3 of F1 2020 My Team. This is the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we are ready to do the business. Make sure you check out the previous episode, Australian Grand Prix. Link in the description. It won't be in the description, don't bother. Just go to my channel and have a look. I always say I leave stuff in the description. Never happens. Always forget. Anyway, here we are for this episode, and let's see what we can muster in this episode. If you haven't seen the previous episode by now, what the hell are you doing? Basically, we have signed Monster as our primary sponsor. It is a 2 a.m. commentary, 1 a.m. commentary for me. Can you tell? Don't think you can. Anyway, I go a bit weird when I am tired, but here we are for this brand new episode. We've got Sebastian Vettel on board for this season of career mode, and I gotta say, I've seen the comments for like the first episode, and I'm quite surprised. I thought there was gonna be a lot of backlash for the choices that we've made for this season, but I'm glad that so many of you are on board for the choices that I have made, and yeah, look forward to many more in the future. But heading into Bahrain, we've got some interesting little developments in the midfield. Everyone closing up to each other. Looks like Racing Point maybe jumped Ferrari there. Ferrari sliding down the order, so I guess Seb is very happy that we picked him up in this season of career mode. I've noticed that Williams also upgraded heading into this race, but at the top of the table, nothing doing for us and nothing doing for Mercedes. So I would expect the status quo to remain the same in this round. Practice 1, pretty good for us. P1 topped out the session, and we move on to the rest of the weekend with a bit of confidence, but we can't get complacent because Sebastian Vettel is an absolute monster, pardon the pun, in this car. Do not underestimate him. Time for quali. Okay then, qualifying time for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and honestly, I'm feeling a lot more confident heading into this one. This is normally a track that suits the AI a little bit more, but with the way the setups work and how we achieve lap time, we tend to make up more time in slower speed corners, so that is something to look forward to for us. And the balance issues I was harping on about in the Australian Grand Prix, not so much of an issue here. Running the exact same USA setup, but for this qualifying session, I mix it between 2.6 wings and 3.6. I think initially we're running 3.6 here. I did trial 2.6, I believe, in Q2, and overall the balance was nice either way. So that is it's confidence inspiring. It allows us to push the car. In Melbourne, I couldn't feel like I could push the car. When I was running the higher front wing, I really had to be slow with my steering inputs and really be delicate with the weight transfer. Here you can chuck the car into corners no matter what downforce setting, higher or lower than I'm running in between 2.6 and 3.6, sorry. Anyway, it's Q2, and you can see qualifying is complete. We are going out there at the end of the session. This is the lap where I went down to 2.6 wings to give us a little bit more straight line speed. I'm just testing it against 3.6, which I set at the start of the session. And I'm going to draw comparisons, and then I'm going to make a decision about which way I go with setup regarding the rest of the weekend. Up to the line, we do improve by a tenth and a half, and that does get us through to the next part of qualifying, but only just. It's very, very close. Like, the difference between myself and Pierre Gasly in P10 is half a tenth. Lewis Hamilton knocked out in Q1, it's Q2, sorry, and so too is Daniel Ricciardo. Two drivers who have been absolutely on fire lately in my career modes. Have nothing to say. The Q3, I actually kind of went backwards in that session despite doing a really good time on 3.6 wings. I went up in terms of the downforce once again. So I actually went faster in Q3 but went backwards positional wise. And that's why I didn't hover on that screen for very long, because I was quite angry at that. But either way, I've got a bit of work to do heading into the race. Again, qualifying pace just doesn't seem to be there. in Season 3 of Career Mode, and it's a little frustrating. But thankfully, we're at a track where overtaking opportunities are endless, so I'm looking forward to moving forward in this Grand Prix.
The stage is set for another enthralling race here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. A Ferrari stronghold in years gone by, but will they be able to add to their record today? And what would any Grand Prix weekend be without the one and only Anthony Davidson, alongside me as always, to talk you through the action?
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? Besides that, of course, any kind of turn one incident could completely turn the race on its head. Let's keep our fingers crossed everyone can get through in one piece.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
I wonder if that's a preview for what might happen in today's Grand Prix. Commentators talking about the turn 1 incident. We may potentially see that. We may not. But it is Bahrain turn 1. And, well, every time I think of Bahrain turn 1, I think of Scott going from like last to first and taking out a Mercedes. That would be absolutely phenomenal if that is the case. But unfortunately, there is no Into the Barrier in this race today. Anyway, career mode. My team, we're going to switch to a one-stop strategy to the hards. And I'd imagine that the AI are going to follow the two-stop strategy, going soft, medium, medium, which I believe was a strategy they employed last season. So we could sneak a win maybe if we are fast and consistent enough on the one-stop strategy. 5 red lights. And we are underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and it's been a great start. We get the launch on Lando Norris, but in the second phase, he puts it up into overtake, and we have to work for our overtake as we head into turn 1. Nearly getting Carlos Sainz there, but he holds on for now, and we lose a place to Pierre Gasly, who also started well on the outside line into turn 1. So in the end, it looks like it's one step forward, one step back. But we look to make that one step forward at turn 4, and we move up to P7. So I think surely we gain a position off the start, but surely we must have lost a position somewhere. Someone running on the left-hand side. There's the start for Vettel. He didn't get off to a good one either. So he's got a bit of work to do at the start of this Grand Prix. That is Esteban Ocon as well, riding on board with now. And he nearly took P2 off of the start there. So Renault, I know I keep talking about them, but they are, honestly, they're doing so well, pound for pound, where they are in the performance index. They are really punching above their weight. Daniel Ricciardo not getting into Q3, so he's starting on the harder compounded tyre. So too is Lewis Hamilton. Those two drivers will be ones to watch out for later on in this race, given that they are starting on the medium and probably going to go to the hard and do the one stop. So that is the ideal strategy around here in Bahrain in this season of career mode. So they will well and truly be contenders in this one, and we'll need to keep our eyes on them over the course of this race to make sure we don't get boxed in, get our ears boxed, so to speak, as we head into turn 1 around the outside of Maximus Verstappen, and that is P6 for the taking in this race. That was a replay, a very shocking replay, because we could see nothing. We go back to the onboard of Max, and he rides the curb at turn 1, forces him a little bit into our line, and thankfully no contact was made there. Otherwise that would have been potentially a half spin for us.
Sainz is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 1.2 seconds. They're on old softs. Their tyres are 1 lap old. We think they've got 2 stops remaining.
Boom, 2 stops for the AI. That confirms it right there, with Sainz's strategy being described to us in the team radio. On board with Sebastian Vettel, closing up to Valtteri Bottas in this Grand Prix. It'll only be a matter of time before he overtakes, and it's actually happening now on the minimap, as you can see there at turn 1. Vettel now moves into the lead. Unfortunately, I didn't catch that at the time because I was busy dealing with my problem. That is the DRS failure that has just happened in the last 30 seconds. So I missed that overtake for Vettel, but he is now into the lead of this race with the help of DRS. And I think he, well, was getting close to breaking outside of 1 second, but Valtteri makes an early stop now onto the medium compound of tyre, confirming that he is doing a 2-stop today, getting held up behind Sainz in the fast lane, meaning he couldn't rejoin quickly enough. But anyway, it's lap 8. It's time for my pit window. We're going to stretch it. Are we? No, we're coming in. For some reason, we did, our original plan was to come in on like lap 6 or 7 and do the 2-stop, but we stretched it a couple of laps extra. But what put me off was, it was actually my pit window, but that's because I edited the strategy pre-race, but that's fine. We cut back to the live action on the track, and this is Sebastian Vettel getting past Antoine Hubert in the Ferrari, and Vettel is really making a case for himself in this race to potentially still be in the fight, despite doing the slower strategy. He is cleared basically the top 5, top 6 on circuit, and a lot of the people around him haven't made a stop yet. Valtteri Bottas is a few seconds behind now, and he's the nearest challenger, but it's going to come down to myself, Hamilton, and Ricciardo to challenge Vettel for this race victory. It's getting very close in terms of strategy. We really need to cut through this traffic cleanly in order to have a good shot at Vettel towards the end, because Vettel at this stage is running around in clear air, catching up to the lead group of cars and haven't stopped yet. Hamilton leads this race, as you can see on the mini-map. I believe Antonio Giovinazzi retired from the race on this lap, and we don't need to worry about him. But we move up into P15, and the focus now shifts to catching up to Carlos Sainz, who we were battling in the first stint as we nearly run into the back of him into turn 1, really late under brakes. You can see how conservative Sainz was, stuck behind Mick Schumacher. But will he get caught up behind him again? No, he won't. He's going to go up the inside into the last corner, compromised both of those drivers there. We get the better run on both of them, and we get past Mick Schumacher in the traction zone. Carlos Sainz, though, let's see if we can get him in the top end of this start-finish straight. He must be deploying a bit of overtake there, because I was not making any gains there. That McLaren is mighty fast in a straight line with that Renault power unit. But we get through, and we're now into P13. What does this mean in terms of on-track position? I'll tell you in a minute, but we've still got to deal with Carlos Sainz, who's being a bit of a pest in this Grand Prix. Had a nice run on this into turn 4, and now he's having another run into turn 5. I swear, he has literally used all of his battery there to try and have a go at me. He got a decent exit here, but then you'll notice his wheel turns from orange to green. That means he put his overtake on, literally just to make things awkward into this corner. That is high IQ plays right there from Sainz, going out of his way to slow us both up. Anyway, we get his position, and we are in 13th place. I think on track overall, we are around about 3rd or 4th. But there's so much up in the air at this stage as Charles gets past Hubert. Hamilton factor, the Vettel factor, Daniel Ricciardo. There's a lot still yet to play out in this race, and as you can see on the race director, Hamilton leads, still in the medium compound tire. Daniel Ricciardo falling away a little bit. He's lost positions to Giovinazzi, Albon, and Ricciardo. So, okay, it wasn't Giovinazzi who retired. It must have been Kevin Magnussen in the other Alfa Romeo. My apologies on that one. But lap 13, we've got some runners in the lane. That includes Hubert, Ricciardo, Stroll, Hamilton, Ocon. Lots of drivers are in. Albon as well. I think I probably mentioned Albon. Albon goes on to the hard compounded tyre. And Ricciardo has a front wing change. So that explains why Ricciardo was losing touch with Hamilton in the midpoint of the Grand Prix. That's a real shame. Ricciardo was besting Hamilton in the first race last episode. And that whatever shenanigans he's got caught up in has really set him off in this one. So he might struggle to score some good points in this one. We'll have to wait and see. But Bottas is in on his 2-stop strategy, and he's actually boxed for the hard compound of tyre. A 2-stop strategy and you're using hards. That makes no sense. Nice one, Mercedes. Vettel responds on the next lap, and he goes to medium compound of tyre. Thankfully, Marduk Motorsport in Season 3 for the second driver. I mean, it's a bit wrong to call Vettel a second driver, given he's the championship leader. Either way, the strategies for my teammate in Season 3 seem to be on point so far in this career mode. But now the focus shifts to Lewis Hamilton, who is, it's just on fire at this stage on his newer hard compound tyres. He goes up the inside into turn 1, and this could be for the win in this Bahrain Grand Prix. As we see Hamilton getting a nice run. He goes around the outside into turn 4. This is for the victory, actually, with 9 to go. Vettel is 4 seconds back, and I've got to keep Hamilton within arm's reach now to have any chance of winning this race. Let's see if we can have a go at him on this start finish straight. Put it up in a rich and overtake. DRS is going to open, but the gap is over 6/10 on this start finish straight. That's a big old gap to gobble up in just one straight of road. Not good enough. Into turn 1. We basically push him on exit, but we don't have the tyre life or the tyres to really take the fight to Hamilton, unfortunately. So it looks like he's got the ascendancy for the remainder of this Grand Prix, and I think it's going to be Sebastian Vettel who is going to be the challenger for Lewis Hamilton in this one. And here he is, right on cue. Vettel, like, he just completely surprised me, as I'm sure you guys were surprised to see him all of a sudden on my rear end. That was literally my reaction as well. Oh, he's there. So, yeah, we're just going to let him go here. I've turned off overtake. I'm going to go down to standard, and we're going to let Vettel go through for some team orders action here into turn 1. We're not going to make life difficult. He gets through for P2, and now he can set after Lewis Hamilton and get another victory in this season of career mode. Can Sebastian Vettel make it 2 from 2? We'll have to wait and find out. You would have to say with a fresher, better tyre, that is going to be the case as Vettel gobbles him up into turn 1. A little bit of a lock up there on the inside front, but it doesn't dissuade him from getting the position and soaring off into the distance. Another fast start for Sebastian Vettel. Lap on lap, he's getting faster. He was setting purple laps on the way to catching me, which is awfully intimidating. And now that he's dispatched both me and Hamilton, he shows absolutely no signs of slowing down. 8 seconds up the road. I've basically parked the bus now. I'm looking after the gearbox and the engine, just bringing it home for another podium in this season. And Vettel continues to flex the muscles as he sets a fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the way to winning his second race on the bounce for Marduk Motorsport. For us, it is another podium.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
That's it for another spectacular Grand Prix here in Bahrain, and a real champion's drive to take the win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
What a drive. What a drive from Sebastian Vettel. On the slower strategy, doing the 2-stop, soft, medium, medium. He just killed us all with pace, essentially. Hamilton, myself, Albon, Ricardo, we all had the fastest strategy, yet he absolutely blitzed the field with just straight up pace. Vettel is a machine, and he is absolutely flourishing in conditions in a team that is behind him, that supports him, in a car that he is able to drive with confidence, and he's making the most of that. That is 2 perfect weekends from 2. Winding back the clock is Sebastian Vettel. We lead the constructors by 26 points over Mercedes. And in terms of the driver standings, I think Vettel has an even bigger stranglehold over the rest of the field. I think it's like 30 points or something. I'm in second with like 30 points. And Vettel's on 52. He is quickly running away with his championship, much like he did in his Red Bull days, which is crazy. He's definitely repaying the faith that I showed in him. And more so, I'm kind of worried that I picked Vettel, and maybe I should have gone for someone a little less proven, because he, at this current stage, is really trouncing me in this car, and that needs to change. I need to get a wriggle on, need to get a handle on this car, this setup, and qualify better, essentially, so that we're close enough to have a go at Vettel at the start of these races. He's really just been untouchable. I really thought we had a chance today of winning the race with the one stop. It was faster, but we just didn't quite have enough pace to be further up the road to keep Vettel at arm's reach. Yeah, it was a tough one. But regardless, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It was a nice recovery from me after qualifying P8. We definitely jumped a lot of cars doing the two-stop, who were doing the two-stop, and I feel like for the most, we pretty much got the maximum out of the race. We could have got P2 maybe if we, again, had that little bit more pace, a little bit more of a, I don't know, a flow around this place. Felt like the setup was pretty good. Wasn't too much I could really improve upon that, but I guess as we head into Vietnam, there's a new opportunity, new chance. We'll definitely make sure we go for maybe a track-specific setup and how much that'll change. I mean, I have been adjusting my USA setup and tweaking it here and there, and you know, for this specific circuit. So I guess it's not 100% down to a lack of a good setup, because it was a good setup, but still, Vettel is an absolute monster. I have created this monster, and now I need to tame it. So that's going to be the challenge over the next 20 races, and seeing if we can hold on for the ride or get absolutely embarrassed in my own team and be forced to retire. Who knows? Vettel could have this championship wrapped up by Silverstone or something if he keeps going at this form. But anyway, that has been this Grand Prix for today. A little bit of a shorter video, but there was no shortage of action, I promise you that. But hopefully you enjoyed. We move on to Hanoi next, and honestly, I don't know what to expect. Maybe I need to start sabotaging the team. I've put all this resources into durability, and now Vettel is never going to retire. He's going to have a bulletproof car, a car that's rapidly fast, and a teammate which can't challenge him. This could be a problem. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.